Hi everyone, it's Jackie and Antwich here. I thought I'd show you the recipe that I use for homemade scones. I usually do make them most weeks, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any stretch in the kitchen, but they usually turn out pretty edible, so that's always a bonus, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to weigh the ingredients out, and then I shall tell you how I sort of take it from there really. So I'll just get on with it and measure all the ingredients out. So it's 225 grams of self-raising flour. So I'm just going to measure that out now. I do like to sift the flour because I always think that makes them a little bit lighter as well. So 225 grams of self-raising flour, and just pop that in your bowl. It's a bit difficult when you wear glasses, and I'm not wearing them at the moment, so everything's a bit blurred to me. So hopefully we'll get the right measurements. The sign on here is oops, that's perfect. So that's the flour, and what I do then is I usually put a little pinch of salt in it, in my little sort of recycled jar here. It was a little jar that I had, and I just put the little bits of salt in. So a little tiny pinch of salt goes in there. That really helps to bring out the flavour, I think, of everything and bind things together. A little bit of bicarbonated soda. I usually put about half a teaspoon of that in, just a level teaspoon. It's like I say, pretty old recipe, but I think this is my sort of secret ingredient. I think really I always put a little bit of, well actually a teaspoon of cream of tartar in. I do think that really makes them nice and soft, makes them rise. So that's what I call my sort of secret ingredient. So I'm going to put a teaspoon of that in as well. I don't make them too sweet because I don't like really sweet scones really. I just put a tablespoon of caster sugar in, and that seems to make it sweet enough for me really. So I'm going to put a tablespoon of that in, and I'm going to sift all those ingredients together. This is where it all goes a bit messy. I'm a bit of a messy cook really. When I make everything, anything in the kitchen, it always ends up looking like it's been a bit ransacked, which it usually has because I'm usually scrambling around looking for ingredients, that sort of thing. But so that's all the sort of dry ingredients that you mix together, and give them a little bit of, once you've got them in there, give them a stir. Just check that you've got all the ingredients, because sometimes I've been known to leave out crucial ingredients and then think I've got it all in hand and I haven't. Even though I make them on a regular basis, I'm still a bit, I still have to check what I'm doing. I don't know it off by heart. So that's mixed all the dry ingredients there together. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to weigh out some raisins. The raisins I put usually 50 grams in, sometimes a little bit extra. I usually use raisins. You can use cranberries or any dried fruit really. Cherries are always nice too. I do like cherries in it, dried cherries in a scone. It is 50 grams. Sometimes I'm a little bit generous and put a few little bits more, because let's face it, who wants a scone without, you know, 2 raisins in it? Then it's like spot the raisin. Nobody. So what I'm going to do now, I've weighed the raisins, so I'm going to leave them there for now. I've already weighed out 50 grams of butter. I use unsalted butter, and I've cut it up into little cubes. It is actually a little bit, I've just taken it out of the fridge, but it's quite a warm day today, so it should be pretty chilled, but I've only just taken it out, but it's already a little bit warm. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it all together, the butter in with the flour and all the other dry ingredients. And what I try to do is I try to lift it up and get a little bit of air. Hopefully that might make the scones a little bit lighter. I am hopeful that that might happen. So it only takes a few minutes. Sometimes, to be honest, I just put it in. I've got a little mixer, which is pretty old-fashioned. It's I've had it for donkey's years. And sometimes I just put the mix in that and whiz it up, and I don't have to do it by hand. But sometimes it's nice to get your hands in and just have a little go, isn't it? You just feel like it's quite relaxing. I think usually I try to do a little bit of baking on a Sunday, really, because I think it's a bit of a chill day. I don't really have an awful lot of things sometimes planned on a Sunday. It's a bit of a more relaxing day. We might just go out for a little walk in the morning and then just spend the rest of the day either seeing family late in the afternoon, or just have a day relaxing, catching up on a few things that we've missed on the TV. Pretty lazy. So what I usually do is I usually make some scones or some other sort of cake. Very simple, nothing complicated. I'm not a fancy cook or chef or anything like that. It's all pretty simple stuff. So I usually make scones, perhaps a little bit of soup, something like for tea the next day, or prepare a few things, and then I think you're a bit of ahead on the week, really. If you've got a busy week ahead, you've always got something to eat, haven't you? You can't go wrong with soup, can you, really? Even though it's pretty warm at the moment, it's always handy to have in. So I mean, that's really mixed now. It's pretty well mixed in. I think that's okay. If I just give it a little shake, any little lumps that might be on the top, the little lumps come to the top of butter. I always do use butter in any recipes because I'm not fond of margarine, to be honest with you. I don't think it's all ultra processed, and I try not to have too much of that. So if I'm having it, I have the real stuff, and I have the butter, and I think it's more natural. It's better flavour. I think it makes everything taste better, doesn't it? As long as we don't go too berserk with it. But so that's about that. That's all rubbed in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my raisins in. Sometimes they get a bit lumpy when they're in and stuck together. So I'm just going to separate them to make sure there's not a big little sort of clump of raisins, and then stir those in, which is pretty straightforward, isn't it? And then what I do, I've got 150 mils of milk here. Usually recipes say full fat milk, but I'll be honest, we don't have full fat milk. We just have semi-skimmed usually. So what I'm going to do is, it probably might not take 150 mils, so I'm just going to put a little bit of it in just at the moment, because I don't want it to I don't want the mixture to be too wet, and I don't want the mixture to be too dry. It's just got to be sort of right in the middle, really. So I've put the milk in, and then I'm just going to give it a little stir with a knife, just to try and combine the ingredients together. It's a pretty simple recipe, pretty simple to do. Just get the ingredients, measure the ingredients so they're pretty accurate, and hopefully it shouldn't go wrong, really. It should all come together quite nicely. I mean, that looks like it's coming together quite nicely now. So I'm not going to put the rest of the milk in. There's quite a little bit left there, but I think I don't want them too wet, and like I say, I don't want them too dry. So what I'm going to do is, very gently, I'm going to get the mixture into like a little ball, try and get it together. You can usually tell if it's about the right consistency with liquid, because it comes together pretty easy. Sometimes I don't put enough and then it's a bit dry, but usually once you give it a little mix, it's surprising how it sort of does come together. And what I tend to do as well, if there's any little bits that are stuck at the bottom of the bowl that don't seem to want to come together, I'll just leave those bits. I don't sort of force them, because the mixture doesn't really want too much sort of kneading. You're not kneading the mixture at all, you're just getting it together, because I think that can make them a little bit tough and not quite so light and airy, and that's really what the secret is, isn't it? That they're going to be quite light and airy. So that's about come together there. Like I say, there's one or two little bits that haven't come together. I've got a few raisins that are not playing ball and they don't want to stay in the mixture, so I might get hold of those and just force them in myself. And then I've taken them out of the bowl, the mixture, and I'm just going to give it a little gentle knead there, and hopefully that should be okay. Like I say, I'm not kneading it too much, because the more you knead it, the more difficult it sort of becomes. And then what I do then is I usually get a little bit of cling film, and I think it's important to let the mixture rest probably for about 20 minutes. So I'm just going to get my little bit of cling film, and I love this cling film. It's got, because normally cling films all sticks to itself, doesn't it? This one's got a little gadget that you can sort of, it's still stuck to itself a little tiny bit, but it's got a little gadget, so it sort of, it was all going so well, wasn't it? But anyway, that'll do. I've more or less got it in. So I'm going to wrap that up there, and I'm going to pop it in the fridge for about 20 minutes. And what happens is, when you pop it in the fridge for about 20 minutes, it starts to puff up a little bit, and you can sort of tell that it's ready. Well, about 20 minutes has gone by, and I've just got the mixture, the scone mixture, out of the fridge. It has sort of, I don't know whether you can see there very well, but it has sort of just puffed up slightly a little bit. And so that seems to have hopefully done all its magic and given the ingredients a chance to sort of rest and sort of come together. So what I do now is, I don't normally put a lot of flour on the surface of the worktop. I don't want them like too floury, so I'm just going to gently get the mixture. It may be a little bit, I don't know whether it's a bit drier than, probably not, it's probably about right. So what I do now is I just give it a little tiny, not a knead, because we're not kneading it, it's not bread. So give it just a little tiny sort of squeeze together, if you like, for want of a better word. And that sort of does about the trick, really. And then what I do then is I just get my little rolling pin. Well, actually it's not so little. I've got 3 little rolling pins all together. I've got an old one that my dad made years and years ago. He's sadly no longer with us, but I've still got it, and I use that one. But this one is one, obviously, that I've bought. So what I do is I just very gently roll it out, and then probably to however thick you think you want them. You don't want them too thin. Probably about 1.5 inches, something like that. I know sometimes you can buy them in shops and they look like enormous things, don't they? But that's about right for us, probably about 1.5 inches, something like that. Now, it depends sometimes how I'm feeling. I might just cut that in quarters and then just shape it and leave it a bit rustic, really. Sometimes I might use a cutter. That one's quite a big cutter, might use that one. Or sometimes, if I'm trying to be a bit more delicate, I might use the smaller one. But it depends how we're feeling, really. But I think what I'm going to do is use this more generous size one. And then I think what the secret is, I'm no expert, like I say, no expert on this, but in my experience, this seems to do the trick. You just need to just push it down and cut it. You don't need to saw at it or anything like that. Just one sort of quick, sharp cut, and that seems to work better then. I think if you saw at them, they don't. And that's sort of made the size that I'm looking for. And then I've got a little tray here that I've already greased, and I'm just going to pop them on the tray and just round them off a little tiny bit. It's I think this one usually makes about 5. If I use the bigger cutter, it makes about 5. If I use the smaller cutter, then I do get a few more. But like I say, it depends how we're generous and feeling, really. So that one's, they don't look the prettiest sometimes, do they? It's really quite odd. I think sometimes I've got them all, I've cut them all out with the same cutter, so they should all be pretty similar. And then they come out of the oven, they go in looking pretty similar, and somehow, I don't know quite what happens, they come out of the oven and they all look slightly different. But they're rustic, aren't they? They're homemade, that's the secret. They're not ultra processed, made in a factory with thousands and tens of thousands of others. The little individual ones that I've just knocked up pretty quickly. And then while I'm waiting for the mixture to do its little thing in the fridge, I can just tidy up and get the washing up done, or stick it in the dishwasher, that sort of thing. to try and keep everywhere tidy. I remember it was a long time ago when I was in sort of, well, you'd say high school now, it was senior school that we called it. One of the teachers, the cookery, because we had cookery in those days, I suppose, one of the cookery teachers that we had would always say, you know, tidy up as you go along, don't have your kitchen in a mess, make sure that you tidy up as you go along. And after all those years, that's always sort of stuck in my head that I do try to do that. I try to do it, I'm not saying it works out, but I try to. So I've been pretty generous with these. That's another, I think I've only made about 4, and I've got a little tiny bit here that I'm not going to waste because, what is it they say, waste not, want not. So there's a little tiny bit there. That one will probably cook a lot quicker than all the others. But that's like a little mini one, isn't it? I might have to taste that one. That might be the little taster one, just to make sure, quality control. I would hate for somebody to eat them and they're not right. So that might be mine, little quality control one when it comes out. So I've got them on this little tray here. Like I say, I've already greased it there slightly with butter. And what I'm going to do now is the little bit of milk that I had left in, that I didn't put into the mixture, I'm just going to put a little bit of this milk on the top, and it just gives them a little bit of colour. Ideally, you could probably use an egg, which would give them a lovely colour, but I'm being a bit mean really. I just think I don't really want to waste an egg really on that. So it's only for us. If I'd got somebody coming round, I'm not saying I'd show off, but I might make a bit more effort, and I probably would use an egg. But for us, I'm just going to put a little bit of the milk on the top just to give it a little bit of colour. And then what you can do as well, which is quite nice, you can actually put a little bit of demerara sugar, sprinkle a little bit of that, and makes them look a little bit more fancy. And then when you eat it, it sort of crunches a bit, so that's quite nice. But I'm not going to do that either, because I'm trying to keep them reasonably healthy, and let's face it, every little bit that you can save helps, doesn't it? So I'm going to put these in the oven now, and they go into quite a hot oven. It's about 190 degrees C I'm going to put it in, so they do have to be quite hot, and I'm going to put them in for about 12 to 14 minutes. That can vary, depends on what size you make, but I usually sort of play it by ear really. If I think it's, if they look done, then they're done. If they don't look done, then obviously I keep them in another minute. But obviously I don't want to underbake them, don't want to overbake them. We're looking for just right. So just excuse me 1 second, and I'm going to pop these in the oven. So they're in the oven now, and we're just waiting for it to do its magic, aren't we? I'll just run through the ingredients again, because I don't know whether I got a bit, I don't want to get confused with the ingredients. So what I've used is 225 grams of self-raising flour, 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar, half teaspoon of bicarbonated soda, a little tiny pinch of salt. Obviously that's optional, but I always put a little bit in. I think it helps with the flavour. I've used 50 grams of unsalted butter, and I've used 150 grams of semi-skimmed milk, and I've put them in the oven. It's a fan oven that I have. I've put them in on about 190 degrees because they need to be in a pretty hot oven for 12 to 40 minutes. So that's the recipe. So what we'll do now is I'm just going to have a little tidy up in the kitchen again, and as soon as they've come out of the oven, I'll let you have a look what they look like. Fingers crossed they come out perfect, and if they don't, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's as long as they taste okay. They don't have to be the prettiest scones in the world. It's the taste that's important, and they're homemade, and that's you've put a bit of effort into it, haven't you? So hopefully family will enjoy it. So I'll leave you there for now, and I'll get back when the scones are ready. So the scones came out of the oven a few minutes ago. They're still quite warm. The kitchen smells absolutely wonderful. It really does, if I do say so myself. They do look a little bit rustic. A couple of them look okay. One of them looks a bit misshaped. You always get one of them. I don't quite know what happens. I've got my little test one here that I'm going to try in a minute. I've just put a little bit of butter and a bit of strawberry conserve on those. These here I'll probably fill with double cream and a little bit of jam when we come ready to eat them, because double cream, I've got that in the fridge. Normally I would buy clotted cream because I think that's lovely, but I'm just making do with what I've got in, really. They're easy and simple to make. You can make them pretty quickly if somebody comes unannounced, or if somebody's coming round for a cup of tea. It's always quite nice to have a scone. You can freeze them, but to be honest, I don't really, well, ours don't last long enough. There's never anything to freeze. We normally eat them. I think they're best eaten on the day that you make them. They always seem super fresh then, and they always taste nicer, especially with a nice cup of tea. So that's where I'm up to. I hope you've enjoyed it today. If you've got any tips and hints, or you make scones in a slightly different way, or you add or don't add things, I'd really be interested, because I'm always looking for the perfect one. Hopefully they taste well. They might not win a prize at the local village fete, but I'm not really bothered about that. All I'm interested in is that we enjoy them, and that's the most important thing. So if you would like to join me, I'm trying to post a video every week, and very different things really. It's Jackie in Nantwich and beyond, and I've got little adventures that I've got planned coming up, and I'm hoping that you can share them with me. So I hope you've enjoyed this today. Please subscribe. I'd love you to come and be on this journey with me, and we can be on it together. And hopefully I shall see you very soon. So whatever you're up to today, enjoy the rest of it. Try the scones. Let me know how you get on, what you thought of them. I'd be really interested to know. Take care, and bye for now till next time. Bye.